As the afternoon heat in the Luangwa Valley begins to fade and the sky turns a burnished gold, a different kind of quiet descends. It is not an end to activity, but a prelude to something far greater. A tension that spreads like a wave of heat. That is when it appears, the lion. Without a sound, its presence alters every behavior around it. There is no haste in its stride, no need for a show of force. The others simply know the ground it walks upon is its own. The silence of the savannah must bow to its authority. In the heart of Luangwa, lions form stable populations, known as prides. Each pride is led by one or more experienced lionesses. They are responsible for the hunt and for raising the young. The adult males guard the territory, driving off rivals and ensuring the continuation of their line. The lioness is a consummate hunter. At night, she uses the darkness as her ally. Her vision is 6 times more sensitive than a human's in low light. Her hearing detects movements from hundreds of yards away. The attack is perfectly coordinated. While one takes a head-on position, others encircle the flanks. By the time the target realizes, it is already too late. A charging lioness can reach a speed of 50 miles per hour. Claws slice through the air with precision. A single hold on the throat is enough to bring down even the most powerful prey. But success is not guaranteed. Only about 30% of all hunts end in success. The energy cost is immense, and every mistake has its price. During the day, the pride rests, sheltering in the shade. The cubs play, learning through observation. The lionesses envelop them with constant attention. The stability of these prides, however, is fragile. The lion is not merely a predator. It is a symbol of ecological balance. The scarce waters of the Luangwa River recede as the dry season wears on. In the remaining shallow pools, a group of round, motionless shapes dozes. But do not be deceived by their tranquil appearance. There, half submerged, are the hippos, the silent guardians of the shallows. By day, they are almost entirely immobile. This posture serves a clear purpose: to protect their sensitive skin from solar radiation. Their bodies secrete a reddish mucus, which acts as a natural sunscreen. A unique adaptation in the mammalian world. An adult male can weigh nearly 2 tons. Despite its impressive weight, it walks or bounces along the riverbed. Its agility underwater is astonishing. But it is on land that the hippo reveals its true, brutal power. Though a herbivore, the hippopotamus possesses a formidable set of jaws. Its canine teeth can grow up to 20 inches long. The mouth can open to an angle of more than 150 degrees. These weapons are used in territorial disputes. The confrontations are fierce and can be fatal. The roar of a hippo can be heard from nearly a mile away. It echoes as a warning to any intruder. Despite its passive appearance, the hippo has an unpredictable temperament. It is responsible for more human fatalities in Africa than any other large mammal. Its speed on land can reach 25 miles per hour. And even when the water vanishes and the mud hardens, the hippos remain silent, steadfast, ancient. Under the blazing sun, a dip in the cool water is a rare pleasure. But this moment of peace is soon over. Other rulers have arrived, claiming the riverbank. They are cold and silent. The still surface of the water can be deceiving. Amidst the distorted reflections of the sky, something is watching. Motionless, patient, almost imperceptible. It is the Nile crocodile, a master of the art of ambush. Reaching lengths of up to 20 feet, it is Africa's largest reptile. Its power lies in how it leverages the environment to its advantage. Its flattened body allows it to be almost completely submerged, invisible to its prey. And when it decides to strike, the moment is lethal. An explosive launch, a devastating snap of the jaws, and the story is over. Its bite force is one of the greatest ever recorded in the animal kingdom. It is enough to crush thick bones with ease. Its strategy relies not on speed, but on precision. It has no need to chase anyone. It waits, and when it acts, it does so in silence. Although its primary diet is fish, the Nile crocodile is an opportunistic predator. It reigns supreme, dominating the shallows with absolute authority. Despite being a fearsome hunter, there is a surprising aspect to the crocodile's life: its parental care. At the end of the dry season, the females seek out sandbanks to nest. They dig pits where they lay between 25 and 80 eggs. The temperature of the nest determines the sex of the hatchlings. When the young begin to make sounds, the mother approaches. Gently, she uses her snout to clear the sand and carry her young to the water. The mortality rate for the young, however, is extremely high. With a lifespan that can exceed 60 years, the Nile crocodile is the embodiment of adaptation. It has survived for millions of years. For a crocodile, time is meaningless. It can wait for hours, even days. It does not hunt with speed. It hunts with the patience of millions of years of evolution. And when the young antelope, driven by thirst, lowers its head to the river, it unwittingly steps into the domain of death. An explosion from the depths, a snap that shatters the silence. The game is over before it has even begun. There is a story told not in words, but in heavy footfalls. In the distance, the ground begins to tremble. A line of colossal shapes emerges from the trees. The African elephants. They cross the valley with a quiet authority. But each step carries the weight of experience. With a height of over 13 feet and a weight of up to 6 tons, these creatures reshape the landscape. A small herd can create entire clearings with its tusks. This behavior is not destructive, but vital to the ecosystem. It allows light to penetrate and new vegetation to grow. In Luangua's arid environment, survival requires more than just strength. With their large ears acting as natural radiators, they can regulate their body temperature. But it is in their trunks that they carry their most precious resource. With over 40,000 muscles, this structure is used to smell, touch, eat, drink, and communicate. It is also how the young learn about their world. The leaders of the herd are the oldest females, their memories stored over decades. They know every bend of the river, every ancient waterhole, and every hidden danger. Under their guidance, the herd moves with precision. Even when drought turns the valley into a desert, the elephants can dig deep, uncovering sources of water. Recent studies have revealed that Luangua's elephants can distinguish between dozens of sounds. They also use low-frequency infrasound to communicate over vast distances, up to 6 miles. In this silent and invisible way, the herds remain connected. Their social structure is immensely complex. When a calf falls, the entire herd will stop. When an old elephant dies, others will gather around the body. This behavior is now recognized as a clear sign of emotional awareness. Despite their importance, these giants still face threats. But in the Luangwa Valley, the story is not over. As the sun sets, the elephants gather in compact groups. They are families, united against adversity. Here, there is only one rule. It is written in blood and fear. To hesitate is to be cowed. Life here leaves no room for error. It belongs only to the swifter, the more ruthless, and the wiser. And when the hunt begins, who will be the first to break the silence? As the afternoon heat in the Luangwa Valley begins to fade and the sky turns a burnished gold, a different kind of quiet descends. It is not an end to activity, but a prelude to something far greater. A tension that spreads like a wave of heat. That is when it appears, the lion. Without a sound, its presence alters every behavior around it. There is no haste in its stride, no need for a show of force. The others simply know the ground it walks upon is its own. The silence of the savannah must bow to its authority. In the heart of Luangwa, lions form stable populations, known as prides. Each pride is led by one or more experienced lionesses. They are responsible for the hunt and for raising the young. The adult males guard the territory, driving off rivals and ensuring the continuation of their line. The lioness is a consummate hunter. At night, she uses the darkness as her ally. Her vision is 6 times more sensitive than a human's in low light. Her hearing detects movements from hundreds of yards away. The attack is perfectly coordinated. While one takes a head-on position, others encircle the flanks. By the time the target realizes, it is already too late. A charging lioness can reach a speed of 50 miles per hour. Claws slice through the air with precision. A single hold on the throat is enough to bring down even the most powerful prey. But success is not guaranteed. Only about 30% of all hunts end in success. The energy cost is immense, and every mistake has its price. During the day, the pride rests, sheltering in the shade. The cubs play, learning through observation. The lionesses envelop them with constant attention. The stability of these prides, however, is fragile. The lion is not merely a predator. It is a symbol of ecological balance. The scarce waters of the Luangwa River recede as the dry season wears on. In the remaining shallow pools, a group of round, motionless shapes dozes. But do not be deceived by their tranquil appearance. There, half submerged, are the hippos, the silent guardians of the shallows. By day, they are almost entirely immobile. This posture serves a clear purpose: to protect their sensitive skin from solar radiation. Their bodies secrete a reddish mucus, which acts as a natural sunscreen. A unique adaptation in the mammalian world. An adult male can weigh nearly 2 tons. Despite its impressive weight, it walks or bounces along the riverbed. Its agility underwater is astonishing. But it is on land that the hippo reveals its true brutal power. Though a herbivore, the hippopotamus possesses a formidable set of jaws. Its canine teeth can grow up to 20 inches long. The mouth can open to an angle of more than 150 degrees. These weapons are used in territorial disputes. The confrontations are fierce and can be fatal. The roar of a hippo can be heard from nearly a mile away. It echoes as a warning to any intruder. Despite its passive appearance, the hippo has an unpredictable temperament. It is responsible for more human fatalities in Africa than any other large mammal. Its speed on land can reach 25 miles per hour. And even when the water vanishes and the mud hardens, the hippos remain silent, steadfast, ancient. Under the blazing sun, A dip in the cool water is a rare pleasure. But this moment of peace is soon over. Other rulers have arrived, claiming the riverbank. They are cold and silent. The still surface of the water can be deceiving. Amidst the distorted reflections of the sky, something is watching. Motionless, patient, almost imperceptible. It is the Nile crocodile, a master of the art of ambush. Reaching lengths of up to 20 feet, it is Africa's largest reptile. Its power lies in how it leverages the environment to its advantage. Its flattened body allows it to be almost completely submerged, invisible to its prey. And when it decides to strike, the moment is lethal. An explosive launch, a devastating snap of the jaws, and the story is over. Its bite force is one of the greatest ever recorded in the animal kingdom. It is enough to crush thick bones with ease. Its strategy relies not on speed, but on precision. It has no need to chase anyone. It waits, and when it acts, it does so in silence. Although its primary diet is fish, the Nile crocodile is an opportunistic predator. It reigns supreme, dominating the shallows with absolute authority. Despite being a fearsome hunter, there is a surprising aspect to the crocodile's life: its parental care. At the end of the dry season, the females seek out sandbanks to nest. They dig pits where they lay between 25 and 80 eggs. The temperature of the nest determines the sex of the hatchlings. When the young begin to make sounds, the mother approaches. Gently, she uses her snout to clear the sand and carry her young to the water. The mortality rate for the young, however, is extremely high. With a lifespan that can exceed 60 years, the Nile crocodile is the embodiment of adaptation. It has survived for millions of years. For a crocodile, time is meaningless. It can wait for hours, even days. It does not hunt with speed. It hunts with the patience of millions of years of evolution. And when the young antelope, driven by thirst, lowers its head to the river, it unwittingly steps into the domain of death. An explosion from the depths, a snap that shatters the silence. The game is over before it has even begun. There is a story told not in words, but in heavy footfalls. In the distance, the ground begins to tremble. A line of colossal shapes emerges from the trees. The African elephants. They cross the valley with a quiet authority. But each step carries the weight of experience. With a height of over 13 feet and a weight of up to 6 tons, these creatures reshape the landscape. A small herd can create entire clearings with its tusks. This behavior is not destructive, but vital to the ecosystem. It allows light to penetrate and new vegetation to grow. In Luangua's arid environment, survival requires more than just strength. With their large ears acting as natural radiators, they can regulate their body temperature. But it is in their trunks that they carry their most precious resource. With over 40,000 muscles, this structure is used to smell, touch, eat, drink, and communicate. It is also how the young learn about their world. The leaders of the herd are the oldest females, their memories stored over decades. They know every bend of the river, every ancient waterhole, and every hidden danger. Under their guidance, the herd moves with precision. Even when drought turns the valley into a desert, the elephants can dig deep, uncovering sources of water. Recent studies have revealed that Luangua's elephants can distinguish between dozens of sounds. They also use low-frequency infrasound to communicate over vast distances, up to 6 miles. In this silent and invisible way, the herds remain connected. Their social structure is immensely complex. When a calf falls, the entire herd will stop. When an old elephant dies, others will gather around the body. This behavior is now recognized as a clear sign of emotional awareness. Despite their importance, these giants still face threats. But in the Luangwa Valley, the story is not over. As the sun sets, the elephants gather in compact groups. They are families, united against adversity. And even when all seems harsh, they walk on, trusting in memory and leadership. As the first rays of sun touch the treetops, a piercing sound breaks the silence. It is the alarm call of a chacma baboon. The awakening of one of the most intelligent societies on the savannah. From the highest branches, the troop organizes itself with astonishing efficiency. Each member knows its place in this complex hierarchy. The dominant males lead, protect, and decide the troop's direction. The females maintain the group's cohesion through social bonds. Grooming one another is not just a gesture of affection, but a survival strategy. When on the move, chacma baboons maintain a strategic formation. The most vulnerable individuals are in the center, the most experienced on the flanks. Their diet is a testament to their flexibility. They are omnivores, and that gives them an advantage. The strength of the chacma baboon lies in its ability to communicate. They use over 30 different vocalizations, combined with facial expressions and body postures. These signals serve to warn of danger, coordinate movements, and express emotions. In times of peril, the males may join forces in a collective response. They confront larger predators to protect their young. It is not individual strength that makes them formidable. It is their ability to act as a coordinated unit. At dusk, the sounds of the troop subside. The chacma baboons once again climb to the highest branches for the night. The chacma baboon is not just a resilient primate. It is an architect of the collective, a strategist of the bush. Among the high, rugged slopes, a troop of agile figures moves through the branches. They are vervet monkeys, small, swift, and exceedingly vigilant. Here, life demands instantaneous decisions. Every glance, every gesture, every sound can be the difference between life and death. With their silvery grey coats, they are almost unnoticeable. But behind this appearance lies a complex society. They live in troops where order is maintained by a clear hierarchy. This behavior is supported by one of the most sophisticated communication systems. Over 60 different gestures and 36 types of vocalizations make up their vocabulary. Each sound carries a specific message. Members of the troop recognize one another by call alone. This maintains cohesion even in scattered situations. During the day, vervets explore the ground for food. They are omnivores, which allows them to adapt to different seasons. But the ground holds many risks, so vigilance is constant. While part of the troop forages, others stand guard. The highest vantage points are occupied by sentinels who watch every angle. At the slightest unusual sound, the entire troop reacts instantly. Within seconds, they are back in the trees, out of reach of predators. At sunset, the troop retreats to the treetops. There, they rest in a tight formation, protecting the youngest. The vervet monkey is a master of foresight. They are unaware of the danger concealed in the shadows. The long dry season turns waterholes into strategic hunting grounds. In the deadly silence, the lionesses creep low, their sharp eyes locked on their prey. Hunting in these conditions is a game of patience and precision. On average, only 20 to 30% of their hunts are successful. Lions are not built for long-distance chases. Their explosive burst of speed lasts only a few seconds, making strategy their greatest weapon. They carefully select the most vulnerable target. The savannah remains silent until the very moment the lions attack. But their prey never surrenders easily. The fight for survival is an intricate dance of speed, stamina, and strength. The cheetah is the savannah's ultimate sprinter. In just a few seconds, it can accelerate from 0 to 70 miles per hour. But that speed comes at a great cost. Its endurance is extremely limited. Its opponent, the gazelle, is a master of evasion. It executes sudden zigzags, twisting and leaping in unpredictable patterns. If the gazelle can outlast the cheetah's short burst, it has a chance to escape. The zebra, meanwhile, relies on a different strategy. Their striking black and white stripes are not for camouflage, but for confusion. Under the glaring sun, they create an optical effect that dazzles a predator. A study in 2023 confirmed this effect disrupts a hunter's focus. Furthermore, a zebra's powerful legs can deliver a fatal back kick. A single blow has enough force to shatter a jaw or even kill a lion. But perhaps the most magnificent spectacle belongs to the Great Migration. Over 1 million wildebeest begin a journey of nearly 1,900 miles. They rely not on explosive speed, but on legendary stamina. They can maintain a steady pace for miles, exhausting any would-be predator. Moving in a vast herd, they create a whirlwind of chaotic motion, making it difficult for a predator to single out a target. But not all prey chooses to run. Amidst the grasslands, the Cape buffalo stands like a living fortress. Weighing nearly a ton, they are not prey. They are an incarnation of muscle and fury. Their curved, armored horns can crush bone and turn the tide of any battle. A single thrust from its horns delivers 3 times the force of a lion's bite. What makes them truly fearsome is their intelligence and their ability to remember an enemy. A failed hunt today could lead to a ferocious revenge tomorrow. When threatened, the herd instantly forms a wall of steel, protecting the young in the center. This strategy forces even the most seasoned lion prides to be wary. Even the giraffe, a gentle giant, possesses a lethal weapon. Its 6-foot-long legs can unleash a kick with nearly 2,000 pounds of force. A single strike is enough to kill a lion outright. In a world where survival often belongs to the tooth and claw, the giraffe proves that strength also comes from calm and defensive power. The savannah is a relentless battlefield, where survival is forged through constant evolution. The herbivores are not just prey, they are warriors in their own right. They force the predators to continuously perfect their skills. But a change of leadership within a lion pride can shatter this balance. When a new coalition overthrows the dominant male, a brutal process unfolds. The victor will kill all the cubs sired by his predecessor. This act erases the rival's bloodline and forces the females back into estrus. Within weeks, the new male can begin to pass on his own genes. Though savage, it is a survival strategy shaped over millions of years. A leadership change also weakens the pride's hunting effectiveness. The success rate can drop by as much as 30% during this transitional phase. It can take up to a year for the pride to regain its stability and strength. These are the moments of weakness that rivals, like hyenas, wait to exploit. Everything in this world is connected by a delicate balance of power. From the fight for the throne to the hunt on the plains, it is all part of a great cycle. A testament to nature's intricate design. But today, that delicate natural balance is broken. Once the undisputed kingdom of the lion, the savannah is now a battlefield shaped by new threats. Climate change, shrinking habitats, and human encroachment have made survival more fragile than ever. The African savanna is turning into a harsh furnace. Trees that were once green now stand like stark, barren skeletons. Under the intense sun, water sources are slowly vanishing. The great herds of prey, the lion's primary food source, are forced to migrate further. This compels the lions to expand their territories, leading to more ferocious battles for survival. The lion population has plummeted by nearly 43% in just the last 2 decades. This dramatic decline reflects the growing impact of climate change and human-wildlife conflict. Unpredictable rainy seasons and prolonged droughts have disrupted the entire ecosystem. Even in strongholds like the Serengeti, lions face an uncertain future. As food becomes scarce, territorial fights between prides become more brutal. The roars that were once a symbol of power now echo with a note of desperation. Wildfires and habitat destruction are shrinking their kingdom day by day. Driven to the edge, lions venture dangerously close to human settlements. They hunt livestock to survive, paying the price in retaliatory killings by people. This cycle of conflict is helping to push this proud species towards a dangerous precipice. Poaching, particularly from 2020 to 2023, has increased by nearly 30%, worsening the situation. Once the masters of the savannah, lions are now in alarming decline. Their future depends entirely on our urgent conservation efforts. Organizations like Panthera are working with African governments to establish protected reserves. They establish wildlife corridors, allowing fragmented populations to reconnect. GPS technology and surveillance cameras are being deployed to combat poaching. Thanks to these tireless efforts, a few populations are showing hopeful signs of recovery. But the fight for the lion's survival is far from over. Protecting lions is not just the work of conservationists, but a global responsibility. From supporting conservation funds and raising awareness to sustainable ecotourism, every small action we take has the power to create change. Only by working together can we hope to preserve the magnificent roar of the lion. So that it may echo across the savannah for all generations to come. The legacy of the lion is written not only in strength and dominance, it is also written in resilience, adaptability, and a complex social fabric. The heart of the savannah still beats to the rhythm of the pride. The lionesses continue to lead the hunt, nurturing the next generation. The males still patrol their borders, their roars affirming an ancient heritage. And the cubs still play in the shade of acacia trees, learning their first lessons of survival. In them lies the hope for the continuation of a royal bloodline. But the shadow of change still looms over their kingdom. The lion's fight is no longer just on the arid grasslands. It is also being fought in the hearts and minds of humankind. Will we act in time to save this king? Will its roar continue to be the emblem of wild Africa? Or will it become a mournful echo of a world that has been lost? The answer lies with us, and time is running out. The future of the savannah and its king is at its most fragile point. With each passing day, their struggle for existence grows more intense. And in that struggle, the lion still fights with all its courage and dignity. An undying symbol of strength, family, and a wild spirit that will never be broken. The rains return, and the savannah is reborn in lush green. The grass grows to 6 feet, providing both a sanctuary and a deadly trap. In this labyrinth, life and death are decided in a single moment. Amid this game of survival, the impala is a master of concealment. Its tawny coat allows it to vanish into the dense grass, deceiving even the sharpest eyes. The rainy season is also the birthing season, and the vulnerable young have neither speed nor strength. Their only weapon is absolute silence. Their mothers hide them in the tall grass, where their color melts into the landscape. When danger approaches, they freeze, holding their breath as if to dissolve from the world. On the savannah, survival sometimes lies not in strength, but in the art of disappearance. Like the impala, the Thompson's gazelle also survives through masterful evasion. But when concealment is not enough, it unleashes its ultimate weapon: speed. In an instant, it bursts from the grass like an arrow, reaching 60 miles per hour. What makes it so special are its sudden, high-speed, zigzag maneuvers. Thanks to these deft evasions, it reduces the cheetah's hunting success rate to only about 40%. In this dance of survival, it proves that life depends not just on speed, but on intellect. After the rains, lions and leopards move like ghosts through the tall grass. Here, survival depends on cooperation. Wildebeest and zebra form defensive alliances. They combine their numbers and their synchronized movements to thwart predators. A single alarm call is all it takes for the signal to spread through the herd. The entire group is instantly ready for a spectacular escape. This strategy has been proven to reduce the lion's hunting success by nearly 40%. But even the smallest sentinels, like the francolin, play a vital role. Their shrill calls ignite a wave of alarm across the grasslands. In this world, survival lies in vigilance, unity, and the ability to turn chaos into an art form. The buffalo relies not just on its strength, but on its solidarity. A herd moves across the savannah like a great, living fortress. Each animal weighs nearly a ton, but they are never alone. When danger lurks, the herd immediately closes ranks. The adult males, with their formidable horns, form a wall of steel. They shield the weaker young at the center. If a predator dares to attack, the entire herd is ready to launch a ferocious counter-assault. A thrust from a horn can pierce flesh and even break a lion's ribs. It is this overwhelming power that has, time and again, sent the most ferocious hunters fleeing. Within the herd, every individual has a role. The most experienced act as sentinels, their watchful eyes scanning the horizon. With just a subtle movement, a warning signal is passed through the herd. This is a living alarm system, protecting not only the buffalo, but many other species. On the African savanna, survival is not just about individual strength. It is about unity, about strategy, and, above all, the fight to protect the next generation. The wildebeest is another testament to this. With curved horns as sharp as daggers, they are far from helpless. They make split-second decisions, knowing when to run and when to turn and fight. Every headbutt is a counterattack, capable of breaking bone. When a lion closes in, the wildebeest shows no fear. Instead, it wields its horns with deadly effect, aiming for its enemy's weak points. One powerful thrust can make the difference between life and death. Their resilience has helped them survive countless ambushes. This turns what many see as mere prey into a formidable adversary. Their instincts have been fine-tuned over thousands of years of evolution. Even when overwhelmed and seemingly defeated, they fight on with relentless stamina. They resist to their very last breath, striking whenever an opportunity arises. On these harsh plains, every waterhole is a battleground, every shadow a potential threat. Survival is not just about speed, but about resilience and the will to fight. Every kick is a declaration. Every escape is a testament to the indomitable spirit of these creatures. For millions of years, they have defied the most fearsome predators, proving they are never simply prey. Among the low branches and the riverside thickets, the rulers of the landscape are the vervet monkeys, small, intelligent, and full of personality. With their dark, expressive, almost entirely black faces framed by a halo of grey-white fur, they are easily recognizable. They prefer to move in the treetops, leaping from branch to branch with agility, but they also frequently descend to the ground in search of fallen fruit, seeds, insects, and even small bird eggs. Vervet mothers are very careful and dedicated, carrying their young in the early days, feeding and protecting them with great care. They live in noisy groups, with a clear hierarchy and a rich communication system of sounds, postures, and glances. They are not the biggest, nor the strongest, but wherever there is forest and water, they are present. With their agile leaps, intelligent eyes, and bold demeanor, the vervet monkeys bring a lightness, a vitality, and a movement to the heart of the African jungle. But for many, the true hidden treasure of Murchison lives in the swamps, almost invisible, almost mythical. There, among the reeds and aquatic plants, is the shoebill. A rare, prehistoric-looking bird, standing up to 5 feet tall. Its wide, flat beak looks like a wooden shoe, a perfect tool for catching fish and frogs. Today, it is believed that fewer than 5,000 individuals remain in the wild. Their presence is so discreet that every sighting is considered a real event. It is a symbol of the beauty and mystery that Africa exudes. To see an animal like this, even from a distance, is a unique experience. One of those things that reminds us that African nature still holds undiscovered secrets. At first glance, Murchison impresses with the power of its water. But on closer inspection, one realizes that it is not just the river that makes this place special. Its incredible Murchison Falls. It is in this balance between power and subtlety that the forest reveals its true nature. The mountains of Ethiopia rise like true natural fortresses, with abrupt slopes, deep valleys carved by the Great Rift Valley, high-altitude forests, and vast plateaus almost always shrouded in mist. At first glance, this landscape may seem arid or harsh, but on closer inspection, you will discover that between the rocks and cliffs, one of Africa's most unique forests is thriving. A vertical forest, cold, silent, and full of life. The majestic Simien Mountains, known as the Roof of Africa, form a unique ecosystem where altitude imposes harsh challenges for survival and shapes some of the continent's most extraordinary life forms. With its thick fur, dark face, and an unmistakable red patch on its chest, the Gelada baboon is endemic to the Ethiopian highlands, and one of the most iconic animals of these mountains. They are a primate species that has adapted to live at altitudes of 6,500 to 14,800 feet. The males stand out with their majestic mane and a red hourglass-shaped patch on their chest, a mark that intensifies during the mating season, reflecting their vitality and social status within the group. Unlike other primates, Geladas are primarily grass eaters. This specialized diet distinguishes them from other primates and is a unique adaptation to mountain life. An adult baboon can spend more than 70% of its day grazing, traveling long distances in search of grassy areas. But the real strength of the Gelada lies in its social life. They form one of the most complex societies among primates, living in large groups of up to 500 individuals. They have an impressive vocabulary, with more than 30 different types of calls, used to keep the group cohesive or to repel intruders. These are the guardians of the Simien Mountains. They remind us of the extraordinary resilience of Ethiopian wildlife and the importance of preserving this icon of balance and adaptation. Just as the Gelada baboon dominates the slopes, above them, another master of the heights reigns supreme. The Lammergeier, a true guardian of the skies, complements the ecosystem of the Simien Mountains with its majestic presence and its unique role in the food chain. The orange color of the lammergeier's plumage is not natural. It comes from the iron oxide-rich soil in which it bathes to mark its territory and show dominance. This rare and fascinating behavior distinguishes it from other birds of prey. With a wingspan of up to 10 feet, the lammergeier is perfectly adapted to soar in the mountain air currents. Just as the gelada baboon is essential for the balance of the plains, the lammergeier plays a crucial role in the mountain ecosystem. By consuming bones and what is left behind that other predators cannot utilize, it acts as a natural cleaner. "600 miles from the Simien Mountains, in the heart of Ethiopia, is the Bale Mountains National Park. In this high-altitude sanctuary, we find another remarkable species. These Ethiopian wolves are one of the rarest predators in the world. They live at an altitude of 9,800 feet above sea level, where winter temperatures regularly drop below freezing. The Ethiopian wolf has a slender and elegant appearance, perfectly adapted to life at high altitudes. Although similar in size to a coyote, this predator specializes in hunting small rodents, which make up over 90% of its diet. They have evolved in a unique way, perfectly adapted to their mountain habitat. Their acute hearing is fundamental for detecting the movement of rodents under the dense vegetation. With about 500 individuals left in the wild, these animals are extremely rare and unique. They can only be found in the Bale Mountains National Park, where their population is relatively protected and has shown signs of a gradual increase. Our last stop appears in a setting that at first glance does not seem to belong in Africa. At the foot of one of the most iconic mountains on the planet, Mount Kilimanjaro. This territory is part of the Kilimanjaro National Park, a reserve of about 652 square miles, recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Many clear rivers flow down from above, fed by the humidity of the forest and the melting ice from the summit. They form a crucial water network for the region, providing not only for the local flora and fauna, but also for many human communities. Among the watercourses, one of the highlights is the Mataruni waterfall, an impressive cascade hidden amidst the dense vegetation over 230 feet high. This forest is home to a rich biodiversity, home to primates, antelopes, chameleons, birds, and countless species of insects and amphibians. We have journeyed through the heart of the African continent, guided by the rustle of leaves, the tracks of animals, and the mysteries hidden in the shadows of these great trees. From the deep forests of the Congo to the misty peaks of Ethiopia, and finally to the green slopes of Kilimanjaro. What we have seen is not just beautiful, it is essential. These forests regulate the climate, shelter unique species, and have sustained human communities for millennia. To capture these images and to tell these stories is also an act of resistance. It is a reminder that wild, authentic life still exists in the world, and that Africa, with its ancient, lush forests, still holds secrets worthy of protection. Across the vast canvas of Africa, one roar rises above all others. It is the sound of the lion, a symbol of power and the heart of a complex social world unlike any other in the cat family. The African savanna trembles under the hooves of millions of migrants, and in this kingdom of grass and endless sky, the lion is the uncrowned king. Under the scorching heat of the day, the pride conserves its energy, but its eyes never leave the horizon, where herds of African buffalo gather around the last water holes. When the wind shifts, an invisible command is passed. The lionesses, the master strategists, begin to move. They do not attack head-on, but take up their positions, using every bush, every slope to their advantage. The hunt is not a chase, but a battle of wills. On one side, the collective strength of the pride. On the other, a fortress of horn and muscle. The silence is shattered by roars and the impact of bodies. The air grows thick with the smell of dust, sweat, and fear. A young buffalo is separated from the herd, and in an instant, the fight focuses on a single point. The adult buffalo turn back, forming a defensive circle, their horns pointing outward like a forest of spears. But the pride has been waiting for this moment. Chaos is their ally. A coordinated attack, brutal but effective, and the throne of the savannah is once again claimed in blood. But Africa is a continent of contrasts. And as we leave the Golden Plains, another world awaits. A world sculpted not from earth and grass, but from rock and time. Where hot sand meets ancient stone, and the wind whispers tales from the dawn of time. A forgotten land where life persists in extraordinary ways against the most formidable of odds. Every canyon, every waterhole, is a final fortress, holding the secrets of resilience. Here, time seems to stand still, but the struggle for survival is a relentless, unfolding drama. This is the story of an ecosystem on the edge, where life is but a breath held against the vastness of the arid land. A masterpiece of nature, where only the most tenacious can prevail. The wind sweeps hot sand across the cracked earth, where dromedary camels walk with an unhurried grace. The addax follows, enduring the searing heat of midday. And in the last remaining pools, crocodiles swim in silence, living relics of a prehistoric age. In the wilderness of Enedi, a great sandstone oasis rises from the dust, sculpted into majestic arches and fiery red canyons. Hidden in the ochre-colored waters of the Guelta d'Arque, the last crocodiles of Enedi breathe slowly and wait. They are not large, nor are they aggressive, but they are living proof of a Sahara that was once green. But now, what remains is a small lagoon, shrinking with the heat, with time, and with the changing climate itself. The air temperature exceeds 113 degrees Fahrenheit, while the average annual rainfall is a mere 2 inches. The crocodiles here are isolated, leaving them vulnerable to change and more susceptible to extinction. And they are not alone. Dozens of other species are adjusting their rhythms of life to survive amidst the aridity and the heat. But strangely, despite it all, Ennedi remains one of the Sahara's centers of biodiversity. A wild and rich ecosystem with many species of mammals, birds, reptiles, and amphibians persists here, as if refusing to vanish from a land shaped by millions of years of change. Located in the northeastern corner of Chad, on the fragile boundary between the Sahel and the Sahara, the Ennedi Plateau emerges like a fissure in the heart of the arid desert, yet it is surprisingly vibrant and complex. As the wind blows through the ancient rock crevices, it sounds like a whisper of time. Beneath that apparent stillness, a dark figure begins to move. It is the striped hyena. The striped hyena has a slender body with a coat of ashen gray and distinct black stripes, serving as both perfect camouflage under the moonlight and a warning signal to its enemies. The mane on its back can be erected, making its body appear up to 40% larger, creating a formidable impression in situations of threat or competition. Unlike the spotted hyena, it lives a solitary life or in pairs, and sometimes in small groups of no more than 7 individuals. The striped hyena is an adaptable and opportunistic species. It can follow the faintest trail of blood, find an unfortunate carcass, and crush bones, hooves, and skin with its powerful jaws. But when carrion is scarce, the striped hyena does not hesitate to become a hunter. Following in the footsteps of the creature known as the thief of the night, a snake with a peculiar pair of horns on its head appears, burying itself beneath the scorching sand. It is none other than the Sahara horned viper, a silent assassin in the heart of the desert. With a modest length of only 12 to 24 inches, the Sahara horned viper possesses a compact but extremely agile and deadly body. Its skin, with a characteristic pattern, allows it to almost completely disappear among the sand and rocks. The most prominent feature is the two small horns above its eyes, which help to reduce direct sunlight and make it look like an inanimate part of the environment. The snake moves using a technique called sidewinding, sliding sideways across the hot sand, which helps to reduce friction and conserve energy. It is a natural ambusher, burying itself under the sand and waiting for prey to approach before launching a lightning-fast strike. Have you ever wondered why some desert snakes do not crawl straight forward but move in this peculiar sidewinding fashion? This is not a dance, but a masterpiece of physics and survival. When sidewinding, the snake has only 2 points of its body in contact with the scorching sand at any given moment. This minimizes the risk of burns on the desert surface, which can reach up to 158 degrees Fahrenheit. At the same time, this technique generates an effective thrust on the loose sand, allowing it to move quickly without slipping. It is like a master skier, but on a sea of sand. Sometimes, the straightest path is not the most effective one. To overcome the harshest of challenges, we must learn to move differently, to adapt, and to find unexpected paths. Like the desert snake, sometimes we must sidewind through our difficulties instead of confronting them head-on, only to realize that flexibility is the ultimate strength. From the silent movements of the assassin in the sand, the journey of survival now leads us to the refuge of a small but incredible creature. It is the rock hyrax, an animal with a surprisingly close relationship to the elephant. Beneath its sandy grey fur is a body specially adapted to conquer rocky terrain and steep slopes. Its soft paws are covered with a sticky, rubber-like padding, allowing it to grip firmly onto near-vertical surfaces. Each morning, the rock hyrax emerges onto the rocky outcrops to bask in the sun, absorbing heat to raise its body temperature, as it has poor thermoregulation. Each individual rarely strays more than 164 feet from its shelter, and there is always a sentinel on high, alert for aerial predators like eagles or terrestrial ones like the caracal. Though small, the rock hyrax plays an essential role in the food chain. It is an important prey for many predators and actively contributes to the decomposition and regeneration of vegetation. Where snakes bury themselves under the hot sand and hyraxes bask on the cliff faces, there is always an eye watching from the shadows. It is the caracal, a formidable predator with a compact and agile body. Its deep reddish-gold coat blends perfectly with the desert terrain. But what truly defines this species are its erect ears, with long black tufts at the tips, like ancient brushes, forming one of the most sophisticated biological guidance systems in the cat family. A caracal can detect the rustle of a mouse at a distance of 164 feet, or sense the faint wing beats of disoriented migratory birds. When the moment comes, it leaps up to 10 feet high, then fells its prey with a direct bite to the throat or the nape of the neck, paralyzing it instantly. In the biological chain, the caracal acts as a regulator of mid-level prey. It controls the overgrowth of rodent populations and maintains the balance of hyrax and granivorous bird populations. When the predators have retreated into the shade of the rocks, one species remains on high. It does not belong to the earth, not bound by the confines of rock or sand. It observes every movement in silence from a height of nearly 1,640 feet. In an arid world where life is ever fragile, the white-backed vulture is the final link in the biological cycle. Its eyes can spot a small carcass from a distance of over 2 miles. When an animal falls, That biological signal is quickly transmitted across the sky through a chain reaction among different vulture species. In just a few minutes, from a single point of death on the ground, the sky fills with wings. And as the white-backed vulture descends in a spiral from above, the ground trembles gently under the heavy beat of its wings, like drum beats heralding a ritual of rebirth in the desert. The digestive system of the white-backed vulture is extremely acidic, allowing it to digest diseased tissues without falling ill. The presence of this species acts as an invisible shield, preventing dangerous biological outbreaks. And as the last wings of the white-backed vulture disappear behind the edge of the red rock, a smaller, whiter figure, with black-tipped wings like brushstrokes, glides through the remaining layers of hot air. The Egyptian vulture. One name, three worlds: mythology, biology, and instinct. A descendant of an ancient evolutionary line of Old World vultures, the Egyptian vulture carries in its genes the instincts of species that existed over 500,000 years ago. It is not the strongest in the sky, but it is one of the wisest. The Egyptian vulture often waits until the larger vulture species have begun their feast. Then, each individual descends in silence, approaching and carefully plucking the most nutritious soft tissue parts. It is no coincidence that the ancient Egyptians depicted it on their stone walls, worshipping it as a symbol of Ma'at, order and truth. For even in its manner of eating, everything is done with a precise logic and a respect for the natural order. Following the giant sandstone formations, deeper into the heart of Enedi, a completely different world is revealed. The relict oasis forest, fragments of an ancient woodland that persist right in the center of the arid and harsh Sahara. In the current climatic context, the isolated presence of forests in the middle of the desert is an extremely rare ecological phenomenon. They not only represent the last refuge for many endemic species, but also play a crucial role in preserving biodiversity. One of the most striking features of this ecosystem is the Bachikele Gorge, known locally as Bashi. At the bottom of the gorge, hundreds of feet deep, grow trees up to 65 feet tall with dense, year-round green foliage, characteristic of the tropical forests of equatorial Africa. The Bachikele Gorge possesses a unique microclimate thanks to its vertical cliffs that provide constant shade and ancient underground springs. The average temperature at the bottom of the gorge is 5 to 10 degrees Celsius lower than the surrounding desert. The Bidyat people believe that the spirits of their ancestors still live in those waters and will continue to protect their descendants from thirst and from getting lost. Each year, the local people come here to worship their ancestors, offer sacrifices, and pray for the protection of their camel herds. In addition to its cultural value, this place is also the last refuge for many animal species. Amidst the dense vegetation, the African wildcat persists silently, adapted to a semi-forest and semi-desert environment. At the same time, the African rock python glides among the hot rocks, its body coiled and with a latent power. This giant snake is a master of ambush, capable of lying motionless for hours among the rocks or near streams, waiting for its prey. The relict oasis forest of Enedi is not just a living relic of an ancient ecosystem, but also a genetic treasure of high value to science. On the dry, ancestral rock, and amidst the ruins of the forest that still stand, there is one species that neither hides nor camouflages. It presents itself as a living part of the landscape, noisy, organized, and extremely adaptable. Between the vertical rock corridors, on the banks of underground streams and cool microenvironments, groups of olive baboons gather in troops. The males can weigh up to 68 pounds and be nearly 4 feet long, including the tail. Their olive-grey fur allows them to easily blend in with the sand and rock of the region. They live in large groups called troops, without a fixed dominant leader, but with a flexible social system based on hierarchy, kinship, and experience. They dig for roots and tubers, eat fallen fruits, tough leaves, and even small insects. When conditions permit, they also hunt. Some hunts are simple and quick, like chasing a bird or a lizard. But when food is extremely scarce, they cooperate to hunt larger prey. While foraging, they disperse the seeds of many native plant species through their droppings. Every step, every movement, is not just a search for food, but also opens up the possibility of survival for an entire micro-ecosystem. They soften the soil, clear paths, and sometimes become prey for larger predators, maintaining the integrity of the ecological chain. When the shadow of the olive baboon disappears among the low bushes, it gives way to another figure that appears in silence. It is the Barbary sheep. Its powerful body can weigh up to 320 pounds with a length of nearly 5 feet. Its sandy-colored coat with brown tones allows it to camouflage, acting as an armor against the scorching heat and the vigilant eyes of predators. And then there are the scythe-shaped horns, which can be up to 30 inches long, used for fighting or self-defense. When the Barbary sheep moves, it breaks up the surface soil, allowing water to penetrate deeper. It disperses seeds through its droppings, helping to preserve native plant species that prevent erosion. On a dry and barren land, wild creatures appear and disappear under the sun like mirages. And among them, the African wolf appears with a slender body, its sandy and dusty coat blending with the landscape. Unlike large predators that depend on specific prey, the African wolf eats everything it can: hares, rodents, birds, and even carrion. Near the last dunes of the season, a larger but much more fragile creature walks slowly. It is the North African ostrich, which can be up to 9 feet tall and weigh over 300 pounds. But it can still run at a speed of 43 miles per hour if it needs to escape. Unlike its relatives to the south, this species only exists in small groups in Enedi. And in a place where animals struggle every day to survive, humans are not exempt from this competition. The Bidyat people, a nomadic community scattered across this barren land, understand better than anyone the precariousness of nature. All their possessions are loaded onto camels, constantly moving in search of grass and water, two things more precious than any metal in the Sahara. In their collective memory, the ancestors of the Bidyat were warriors on horseback, returning from battle with animals captured from the enemy, a way to display strength and status. According to legend, inside those caves are the spirits of the rock that guard everything and punish those who dare to desecrate the place. Along the red dust corridors and the seasonal grasslands, the figure of a creature both familiar and mysterious appears. The dromedary camel is a one-humped animal associated with the desert landscape, carrying within it a story of survival that goes beyond imagination. This journey began millions of years ago, when the ancestors of the genus Camelus left North America, crossed the icy Beringia, traveled through the Eurasian steppes, and evolved into the one-humped species. The dromedary appeared 1 to 3 million years ago. Domesticated by humans on the Arabian Peninsula over 4,000 years ago, it has followed trade caravans for thousands of miles across the Sahara Desert. Scorching hot days, bone-chilling nights, winds that carry no water. The dromedary does not just survive, it is adapted to dominate. It can lose up to 25% of its body water without dying, something that would kill most animals. Its oval-shaped red blood cells allow blood to circulate easily, even when the body is dehydrated. Its hump, which contains fat, not water as many believe, is an energy reserve that can sustain it for weeks without food. But its real talent lies in migration. Nomadic, migratory behavior is the key to survival in this harsh land. Each herd of dromedaries, led by a dominant male, travels over 30 miles a day. With strong teeth, they strip thorny leaves without bleeding. Its three-chambered stomach digests poisonous plants that other animals avoid. In Enedi, the dromedary becomes an architect of the ecosystem. With its migration, it disperses seeds through its droppings. With its selective grazing, it avoids damaging plant roots. It is part of a life cycle between aridity and hope. However, the dromedary no longer exists in a completely wild state. For 2,000 years, it has only existed as a domestic animal or in feral populations outside its native habitat. This paradox raises a major question. To survive, must the dromedary become more a part of humanity than of nature? Along with the journey of the dromedary, there is another creature that once reigned over these lands with a steadfast silence and an absolute endurance. They call it the spirit of the desert. In a body about 3 feet tall and weighing 220 pounds, there exists a strange biological machine designed for temperatures up to 122 degrees Fahrenheit, where water is a luxury. Its creamy white coat acts as a natural heat-reflecting mirror, reducing the absorption of sunlight. In the Saharan winter, its coat turns grey, blending into the arid landscape. It can live for months without drinking a single drop of water. Every blade of grass, every drop of dew, all are sources of life. A stomach divided into compartments, kidneys highly efficient at retaining water, and restricted sweat glands. The addax once traveled hundreds of miles following the rains, like travelers without a map. Herds of hundreds, even thousands, are now just a memory. Currently, only small groups of 5 to 15 individuals remain, gliding in silence like ghosts in a sea of sand. The most experienced individuals lead the way, remembering ancient trails, patches of unburned grass, and waterholes that appear only once every few years. It chooses a strategy of hiding, waiting, avoiding conflict. During the day, it digs burrows in the sand to escape the scorching sun. At night, when the desert temperature drops sharply, it begins to move, taking advantage of the darkness to feed. There was a time when it was thought that the addax had disappeared from nature, but no. In 2023, amidst the ancient rock formations of Enedi, 10 individuals were reintroduced from breeding centers. It was a rebirth, and it reinforced the belief that what God has created will never be forgotten. footprints of the addax fade, and the journey takes us to the smallest fox on the planet. It is the tiny fennec fox, with a length of only 16 inches and a weight of less than 3 pounds. But do not let its appearance fool you. Its ears, up to 6 inches long, are its ultimate weapon. They not only help to dissipate heat, but also act as a biological radar, capable of picking up the sounds of mice, insects, or lizards moving under the sand. It does not stalk like a cat, nor does it need the speed of a canid. The fennec fox's hunting strategy combines extremely sensitive hearing, fast reflexes, and an incredible ability to dig in the sand. It does not need to drink water. It gets its moisture directly from its prey and from fruits. From the dunes of Morocco to the dry steppes of Sudan, the fennec fox has evolved over tens of thousands of years to adapt to one of the harshest environments on the planet. On that journey, it plays a fundamental role in controlling rodent and insect populations, and in turn, it is the natural prey of predators such as jackals, hyenas, or large owls. The first ray of sunlight glides over the red cliffs, and a winged shadow soars from a lonely peak. The tawny eagle, the lord of the aerial silence in the rocky desert land. It was not born to hide like the fox, nor to wait for the night like the owl. The tawny eagle is the daylight, with lethal precision. With a wingspan of up to 6.5 feet, a powerful body of nearly 7 pounds, and a vision capable of detecting the movement of a small lizard from a distance of hundreds of feet. From tens of thousands of years ago, this eagle species has evolved to dominate the lands scorched by the sun. Sometimes it dives from a height of 330 feet, swooping down and catching its prey, a hare, a snake, a terrestrial bird, or even a newborn gazelle just learning to walk. Sometimes, it waits for hours on a dry tree to surprise an unsuspecting victim. The tawny eagle's behavior changes with the seasons. When the rains come and the grass turns green, the young are born. The nest is built on tall, solitary trees amidst the arid plains, where the wind cannot reach the eggs. During the long, dry season, it flies further, sometimes hundreds of miles a day, in search of the last patches of life. It does not always hunt alone. A mature pair can coordinate to take down larger prey, attacking from two directions to corner the target in a place with no escape. Thanks to its diet, it regulates the density of rodents, terrestrial birds, and snakes, contributing to the balance of the entire ecosystem. And when it feeds on carrion, it not only sustains its own life, but also cleans the environment and prevents disease outbreaks. At the same time, a dark shadow glides across the sky, silent, sharp, proud. It is the Bonelli's eagle, an ancient predator, a perfect combination of speed, power, and precision. From a solitary branch or the top of a rock, it observes its prey, a dictic, a guinea fowl, a hyrax, and dives with a force strong enough to end a life on the first impact. Sometimes it hunts in pairs, one distracting, the other finishing. But behind the great wings, the footprints carved on the red sand, this place reveals a fragile ecosystem struggling to cope with unpredictable changes. The dry seasons are becoming longer and more severe. The most recent climate data from 2023 shows that the average annual temperature here has risen by 1.3 degrees Celsius compared to the 1980s. As a result, the degradation of vegetation is happening rapidly. Many areas that were once covered by seasonal grasslands have turned into arid and impoverished lands. This has increased competition among species, which is now more frequent than ever. Habitat fragmentation is no longer a local issue. When ecological corridors are interrupted by informal routes and commercial activities, wide-ranging species face isolated areas. Once the migration chain is broken, life loses its ability to regenerate. The caves have been invaded by treasure hunters, and some are used as temporary shelters for the trade of camels or wild animals. When the rock paintings are scraped or erased, not only is a cultural memory lost, but a part of the ecological heritage that was once as vibrant as the land that surrounds it also silently collapses. If nature in Enedi once triumphed over sandstorms, the passage of time, and isolation, today it is struggling to survive against the challenges posed by climate change and human activities. And in this place, where the wind never stops blowing over the ancient rocks, nature once again waits for a chance to breathe. In the Enedi Natural and Cultural Reserve, steps towards restoration are taken every day with the precision of a large-scale conservation plan and a well-defined scientific foundation. Since 2019, the organization African Parks has begun to implement a comprehensive conservation management program. In this place, over 40 rangers patrol regularly, combined with a system of camera traps and drones to monitor the movement and reproduction of species. Environmental education programs have reached over 250 schools, directly reaching 34,000 people. Meanwhile, new legal frameworks for resource protection, tourism control, and the restoration of rock art are gradually being developed. At the same time, 348 archaeological and natural heritage sites have been recorded and protected. The reintroduction programs in Enedi are not just efforts to return animals to their natural habitats, but are also an essential part of the strategy to restore the Sahel-Sahara ecosystem. Locally extinct species such as the addax or the North African ostrich are gradually being re-established in the wild. Every small action today is a seed for the future of Enedi and of the entire planet. Conservation is not just the responsibility of organizations, but requires the participation of every individual, from learning and sharing knowledge to supporting conservation programs and choosing responsible tourism. The Enedi ecosystem can only continue to exist if we protect every drop of water, every bush, every footprint of life.